I am so excited. And every time I get excited, and I don't know if this happens to you or it's just me being a little bit crazy, I want to talk. So instead of talking to myself, I'm deciding that I'm going to talk to you. What is the excitement about? I just saw a trailer on CNN that they are telling a story in a docuseries of Marilyn Monroe called Marilyn Monroe Reframed, the face you know, the story you don't. And once I looked it up to find out more information about it, I was so excited because people such as Ellen Burstyn, who's one of the presidents of the Actor Studio, and I was privileged enough to actually work with her on that stage of the Actor Studio some years ago in the Chekhov Cherry Orchard play, is going to be one of the people interviewed on this docuseries on CNN. The next thing I see is that the narration is going to be done by Jessica Chastain. Guess what? That triggered so many moments for me from 20 years ago, I want to say, when I first came to New York from Transylvania, small village in Transylvania, Romania, ex-communist country, I went to apply for the Actor Studio Master's Program at New School at that time. My first day of school, after auditioning on this big stage at one of the buildings that were used from the new school in the darkness, I don't even remember what the audition was like, but I do remember that when I was done, this shadow from the darkness was walking towards the stage. And I was trying to see, barely able to see who was coming up. And this hand appeared out of the darkness and said to me, "Miss Mihut, I would like to tell you now, but please wait until it is made official. You are accepted to be part of the Actor Studio Master's Program." To find out later, because I didn't know at that time, I was just this shy person, young person who had just arrived to New York from Romania. But to find out later when school began, the same person who came up to the stage to shake my hand was none other than James Lipton. The James Lipton, who then went on and was brilliant in doing the show inside the Actor Studio that got him so much recognition. May God rest his soul in peace. After that, on my first day of school, I was so nervous, and I was walking, I remember, on 6th Avenue to the first day of school. I think I made a left on 15th Street, if I remember correctly, around 15, I'm not sure, but it's around that area. And I was shaking, and I was like, oh my God, I'm not good enough to be in this program. I can't believe they accepted me. They're going to find me out, that they are wrong about it. You know, all the things that we think when we have no confidence in ourselves, as I didn't. Not speaking the language as my first language, and all of that. But I make the corner to go to the address that I was looking for my first day. And I see in front of the building, there's a lot of students coming and going, but then I see this one person standing there. And this person looked like he was a ray of sunshine. I didn't know if he was going to be in my class, but I just noticed him out of the many people that were walking in front of that building. And he was just standing there, and I just noticed him. And I remember in my mind thinking, my God, he looks like he has no nerves. He looks like he's so confident and he looks like he knows who he is. Didn't know at that time. Again, he was just another person. I walked through those doors shaking. Even now when I think about it, I'm still shaking because I'm nervous, just thinking about how nervous I was. Petrified, petrified. We walk into the classroom, and I remember in the introduction, that person that I saw standing outside that reminded me of the sun. That's how I saw him as. I just thought that there was like something special about this one person. When it came his turn to say his name, he said, "My name is Bradley Cooper." Bradley Cooper before the famous Bradley Cooper. He was a young student who also was accepted at this famous program associated with the Actor Studio that I happened to be accepted into. And you have to remember, this is not me being accepted to such a prestigious school, having come from parents who have anything to do with the entertainment business. My father is a priest. My father is an Orthodox priest who has built an amazing, beautiful church outside of Detroit. My mom works for the church. I mean, it was just me having graduated from college in Bucharest, Romania, moved to New York, where I was completely scared to death of even leaving my apartment. But somehow I managed to get into the Actor Studio MFA program. And the student, my colleague, one of them amongst all the other amazing colleagues, happened to be Bradley Cooper, that I noticed before I noticed anybody else. Not to say that everybody else was not extraordinary. Everybody else was amazing, but there was just something about him. So now in the present, looking back at that time, I kind of understand why he made that as a movie star. And it makes absolutely 100% complete sense that he did. But at that time, because we were part of the MFA program of the Actor Studio, we were given access to go see different rehearsals with other members of the Actor Studio, known people from the Actor Studio. So I remember one day we were being told that there's going to be a rehearsal in Brooklyn, and we can go to watch the rehearsal and to see the work, the method, the work of the Actor Studio. A group of us got together, went to Brooklyn. I do not remember the place because, as I have told you, I don't remember a lot of the things because I didn't know them at that time. I don't know, but it was a space, a huge industrial space where this rehearsal that we were given access to was happening. And I remember walking in, and the first person that I see on stage is Al Pacino. Can you imagine? I mean, can you imagine all of this happening to me, being new in New York from a small country like Romania? I did not even understand. I wish to God that I would have been able to be mature enough then. I was in my late 20s, like 27, I think, at that time. I wish I would have been able to write everything down, because now only some stories are being triggered by what I'm seeing. And I'll get back to why I'm talking about this. But seeing that the show on CNN that's going to be starting January this month, it's going to be a 4-part documentary, is going to be narrated by Jessica Chastain. I'll get to that. As we walked into this place in Brooklyn and we saw Al Pacino on stage rehearsing, I had no idea what he was rehearsing. But then after I see him and I'm like blown away, and I'm like, oh my God, this is not happening to me. I'm not worthy enough to have all these things happen to me. Then the next person that I recognize who walks out is Marisa Tomei. I was like, what is happening here? So there's Al Pacino, there's Marisa Tomei, and there's so many other people that later I found out they were a member of the Actor Studio, but I didn't know at that time. And then saw her do the Dance of the Seven Veils and realized that they were rehearsing for the show that was going to be taking place on Broadway of the play Salome by Oscar Wilde. and Marisa Tomei was playing Salome, and Al Pacino was playing King Herod. And there was Diane Wiest, who was playing the Queen, and so many other people that I don't remember the names of. But it was incredible that I was part of this group of people now, having just not been part of anything. I mean, I was part in Romania of amazing actors and people that I had worked with, but this was like a new world. I mean, this was like the center of the universe, and I was like, ooh, I can't believe this is happening. So watching this rehearsal with Al Pacino and Marisa Tomei doing the dance of the seven veils, where she's like very sexual and she has to really go for it. And at that time, for me, I didn't understand method acting. I mean, we were trained based on Stanislavski system in Romania, but you have to remember that Romania used to be a communist country. So every interpretation of a system is based also on what the culture of the country was. So when I saw Marisa Tomei come out and really be so private in front of the other characters and in front of us watching, and being able to really dance as if nobody was watching, that's where the expression probably came from. She was doing a private moment, which is, can you do something that is so raw and vulnerable and shows a part of yourself that is difficult to share with the public? I later found out that was called a private moment. And I was blown away. I could not believe that that was happening. And I'm like, this is never going to be me. I'm never going to get to that level where I can do this. Like, what am I going to do? I think they made a mistake again about accepting me, and all of that insecurity came in, but I was happy. So there was mixed emotions. They were doing the rehearsals directed by Estelle Parsons, whom I later found out won an Oscar for the movie Bonnie and Clyde as Best Supporting Actor, directed by Arthur Penn. She was one of the artistic directors of the Actor Studio. Arthur Penn was one of the presidents of the Actor Studio. He was part of the Actor Studio. If not president, he was part of it. All of these like select group of people that when I was in Romania, I could only watch from far and say, oh my God, look at these amazing, extraordinary actors. And then I'm like in the middle of all of them. All of these things are happening to me. And, if you don't know how to take it, it's like scary. I mean, it's wonderful at the same time, but it's mostly scary if you're not prepared for it. So we're watching that. And I'm learning all this information that they were going to do this play, Salome, on Broadway. They went and they did it. But then we found out that Al Pacino was not only going to finish that play, but he was going to do a tour of the play, and he was going to go to the West Coast. And also he was going to do a movie of the same play. And he, I believe, decided that he wanted to go with somebody else that was unknown. I don't know exactly the particulars. I don't know the details of why Marisa Tomei was no longer Salome, but I think it was because he wanted to go with an unknown. And that unknown was Jessica Chastain, the Jessica Chastain now. But at that time, I believe it was her first role after she had graduated from Juilliard, from what I read in an article. She had just graduated, and Al Pacino cast her to play the stepdaughter in Salome, the character Salome. So if you're watching for the movie, you can now watch her do this dance on YouTube, online, and she is amazing. I usually give actors that same scene of her dance because you can find it online. Whenever I try to explain to them what it means to do a private moment, going back to what it means to be private in public, or to go back to even before Strasberg decided to call those moments private moments, to go back to Stanislavski, it's called public solitude, which is the same thing. It's revealing yourself in a way that if somebody walks in to see you, or if somebody is actually watching you do whatever you decide that you are doing, you would have a hard time continuing doing it, or you would adjust the way that you do it so as not to feel completely vulnerable and open. And then you see Jessica Chastain, and please go to see her. You can put Salome, Jessica Chastain, dance, the dance of the seven veils. And she has the goal as the character to be able to seduce the stepfather, who is King Herod, so then she can ask for what it is that she wants, which is the head of John the Baptist. I mean, can you imagine the way that the dance has to be done for her to achieve the goal of getting from King Herod, the head of John the Baptist? She's brilliant in it, but that was her first role. And now going back to Marilyn Monroe and the docuseries that is going to be on CNN, I find out that it's going to be narrated by no other than Jessica Chastain. So when I was watching the trailers that started to come on a couple of days ago, I was so excited. I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe that this memory was just triggered because of seeing that on CNN. And I'm so excited to see that there are people who are doing the story as they describe the series. Marilyn Monroe, the face you know, the story you do not. Something to that. I'm not quoting anybody. And I am so hopeful that it's going to be about the artist, Marilyn Monroe, because having graduated from the 3-year of the master's program, then I had the opportunity to audition for the actor studio. There's a difference between the school, the actor studio, the program, and then in order to become a member, you have to audition. And that's where everything gets really, really difficult. There's famous people who auditioned, I don't know how many times. I mean, 10 times they're talking about. Dustin Hoffman, Nicholson, they had to audition I don't know how many times before they got in. So for me to actually audition for the actor studio after graduating in the same year with Bradley Cooper again, and to get in on my first try, again, it was something like sublime. It was something that was like a miracle. So that's why I do believe in miracles. When people tell me that I have these arrogant aspirations of wanting to do things or of reaching further than where I'm supposed to reach because of my background, being from such a modest upbringing, I tell them, would anybody have thought that I was going to be in the same class with Bradley Cooper? Would anybody have thought that I was going to audition for the actor studio the first time and I was going to get in? No. So why not have and consider that the impossible is possible until it's not. Until it is not impossible, it is possible. Even if there's no guaranteed success, the impossible is possible until there's a definite no, you cannot do this. So I am not arrogant in my striving to do so much and knowing that I am standing on concrete, other miraculous things happening, having to do with a lot of work that I put in. Miraculous opportunities happen because of the preparation. You know what luck is? It's opportunity meets preparation, something like that. But seeing that she is now narrating the life of Marilyn Monroe told in a way where her artistry is going to be the focus. I don't know how many people know, but she was an artist who was going to the actor studio and had a daughter-father relationship with the guru of acting and the method, Lee Strasberg. So she wasn't just a sex symbol. She wasn't just wanting to be superficially great as an actress. She was an incredible actress. If you watch her film, she was incredible. It's because she understood the technique of the actor studio, and she knew that the training of the actor is something that you don't stop. I just think that the title of it, people know her face, but they don't know this story. They don't know this story of her. So to see that that is going to be presented and that docu series is going to be on, I am so excited to see it. I usually don't get so excited about something when I see a promo for it, but when I saw this, it just it just triggered so many wonderful memories from my youth, from my 20s. It puts everything into a different perspective. It reminds me at the same time that I have so much to be proud of. You know, it's very difficult for us to, as we go through life, maybe the realizations or maybe the goals that we had for ourselves 20 years ago were not really realized in the way that we thought they were going to be realized. For instance, did I make it as an actress? It took me a very long time to be able to say I did not make it as an actress in the way that I believed that I was going to make it as an actress. I remember there were times where I was in the elevator going to school, and James Lipton happened to be in the same elevator, and he would just take my hand and he would kiss my hand, and he would say that he appreciated how great I was as an actress due to the times that he was able to see me in some of the shows and some of the scene work. But most importantly, the thesis that I did, which I still have it filmed, and I hear his laughter, even though the way that it was filmed, you don't see the audience, but I can recognize James Lipton's laughter. This was 20 some years ago when I was doing my thesis, the last year of the program at Circle in the Square, directed by one of the other incredible people from the actor studio, Zenon Krushelnitsky. And you forget these things because our tendency and our conditioning is to go to the things that we did not achieve rather than to also focus on the things that maybe were different that we were able to achieve. I didn't make it as a movie star. I didn't become the version of Bradley Cooper and bravo to him that he is where he is, because I think he's amazing and he was always an amazing human being. To this day, I know that he's still helping his best friends in any way that he can, giving them roles in films. And I even remember that during the school, he was one of the first to get an agent to represent him, a manager. And one day he just grabbed me by the hand. The story's coming to me now again. He grabbed me by the hand. He said, "You're coming with me," after having worked with him on a couple of scenes in class. And we took the subway and we went somewhere to, I believe it was a downtown area of New York, brought me to this building. We went inside the offices and he said, "I want to present to you one of my colleagues. She's Mihaela. She's an amazing actress." And I think he was trying to get me representation. The fact that I didn't get representation had nothing to do with him, but he tried. So he was that generous. He was that kind of a person at that time when I knew him. And I mean, it's so incredible that he is where he is today. And I'm so proud because, and I mentioned him to my students as an acting coach. So this is where, everything changed from where I thought I was going to be. So then realizing that it was going to be so difficult to do acting and to become an actress. And most of the time I would hear the reason to why that wasn't happening to me is because of the accent. And I'm so sad that was one of the reasons. Nowadays, I'm seeing that more and more people are accepted, or they should be accepted. Accents, they should be accepted more than they are. I don't think that it's sufficient. The way that the population and the world is becoming so small, and people are working from Los Angeles, they're doing movies in Romania right now. From Romania, they're casting people from the United States and Europe and America and South America. Everything is becoming like a one industry. I just hope that people with authentic backgrounds and authentic first language, not necessarily being English, would be given more of an opportunity, because I think we would be richer and we would be better as humans and understand each other so much more, because the role of the actors and the responsibility of the actors is to make us have empathy for other people. They put themselves in the shoes of so many characters that are so different between them, which means that they have to search inside of themselves to find those different personalities, those different sides to them, and bring them out. And when doing so, you're also revealing to the world that we're not just one personality, we're just not one kind, we're all kinds, we're all different people inside of us, no matter where we come from. At the base of everything, we're humans. I mean, that is what connects us. What could be more profound and powerful than the fact that we are connected through our humanity, you know? And also what they do, which is amazing, is fiction, fact. The actors have to know the difference between this is fact and this is fiction. With everything that's happening in the world, because of political want of some people to have all their power and not care about what's happening in the world and not care about what they should be caring about, which is the people who elected them, they're blurring and they're mixing the fact fiction intentionally because they want to confuse people. Well, actors are the ones who are saying, no, this is who I am. I am an actor who's playing a character. This is who I am. Does it mean that I become the character? No, it's still me. The sides of myself that maybe I have not shown to public yet, I'm going to try to see if I can reveal different sides of my humanity what matches other people's humanity, who might be considered different, but they're not, because we're all a mixture, a complexity of different kinds of emotions and cells and beings. Going back to Marilyn Monroe docuseries on CNN, I cannot wait to see it. Jessica Chastain narration, Ellen Burstyn, one of my mentors. Oh, it's going to be part of it. I do hope that they are going to reveal the side, having talked about sides of people and actors that we all have. I hope they're going to reveal a lot of her artistry. Marilyn Monroe at the actor studio. There's some beautiful pictures actually in the actor studio where you can see her. At that time, people were allowed to smoke inside, and she's in the middle of all the other people, just as any other human being, listening, paying attention with a cigarette smoking. So this is really, really exciting for me. I cannot wait to see it. And I'm sure it's going to be really revelatory. And it's not going to be just the things that we know of actors, as it is so much, in the world. I get a little bit disappointed when I talk about experts who go on and interview actors, and you watch those interviews and they're all the same. The interviews are being done by people who are being put in those positions who don't know the actor's work. So they do the superficial interview base questioning the celebrity. James Lipton, and he knew that he was going to have something that was original and authentic. I'm sure people were telling him that nobody's going to be interested in the actor's craft or the actor's process or the actor's work when he came up with a inside the actor studio program. And for him to believe in it and to know that it's going to captivate the world outside of the entertainment business, because it has to do with revealing tools and techniques, controversial techniques at times, how to understand ourselves as human. That is the most important training that actors must do. Before they work on any role, on any character, they have to self-reflect every time, find another part of who they are that's new, so they can put it forward for this new role that they are playing to keep audiences entertained. If you're going to play the one or two sides that you feel comfortable with, which everyday people, and I say everyday people, I mean extraordinary everyday people. I don't mean to say they're ordinary, but in every other profession until now, because now it's changing, in every other profession, people don't have to reveal all of the myriad of personalities. It's not asked for. You don't have to entertain as much. if you're a doctor. But even as a doctor now, majority of doctors are taking acting classes because they know that their communication and their relationship with patients is more important than the actual medical treatment, or if not more important, but as important. Politicians, the same. I talk about that in other episodes. You see what's happening. The politicians who have had reality shows on TV and have kind of given the population an insight into who they are being voted for, because people through them feel that they are being themselves liberated. That's what actors do. They liberate the audience watching the actors on television or in the movie theaters. We don't have to do the dance as Jessica Chastain does in Salome. We don't have to do it, but sitting and watching her do it gives me that belief that I have that inside of me, and tells me not to be afraid to fully go for something. Doesn't have to be the dance. It could be for something else that I want in my life. She's saying, go for it. The same way that I go for it in my dance in order to achieve something, in order to achieve a goal, I am getting the same understanding for myself to go for something, even if I'm afraid at first. And I don't want to be looked at as someone who's crazy by fully going for it. She's saying, go for it. It's better to go for it and find out that you've given all and you haven't achieved the goal than not go for it and have the regret that you were afraid to try it. So there's so many lessons to be learned from actors, especially nowadays with this blurring of the line between fiction and fact. So I'm glad that the Actor Studio and Marilyn Monroe and Ellen Burstyn is going to be part of this docuseries. I did an interview with Ellen Burstyn some years ago, and I hope I can do another one for Hey Stella. Anyway, congratulations to the people who are smart enough and creative enough and visionaries enough to be able to understand that this story needs to be told, and are making the stories of Marilyn Monroe unlike anything else that we've ever seen of her, and showing her strength and showing her artistry. And I can't wait to find out more about it. Dance like no one is watching. This I'm doing for the people who always say that I'm crying in my videos, where I'm not crying, I'm dancing. Salome, Salome. Al Pacino says, Salome, Salome. What do you want, Salome? I'm doing Al Pacino. He's doing himself so much better than I'm doing him. And then she dances so she can give him no reason to say no to what her desire is, which is to have the head of John the Baptist, which is a huge request. I'm not saying that we should have those goals in mind, but our goals in life could be to letting myself dance freely and not caring what other people are going to say about me, even though my mind is telling me to care, is already helping me being a better teacher when I tell my students to not hold back and to not be ashamed of who they are with everything they have inside of themselves and outside of themselves. So it makes me better in the way that I transmit the message, because I have completely let myself feel it. I'm demonstrating it. I'm not just saying it. So I know what it feels like, so I can guide them. If I do the dance and the private moment exercise in acting classes with actors, I can lead them. So I can't just be the person who's sitting behind the desk say, yes, do a private moment and don't be afraid to just let go. But while I'm going to be just sitting here and doing nothing because I'm embarrassed to do that myself, it's helping me in that. Thank you for listening. Phew, phew.